All right, Mitch can't hear me anymore. I still don't understand how this works. I still don't understand. I'm not going to lie to anybody here. Don't tell Mitch. Mitch definitely can't hear me anymore. I don't know. I still understand. I still understand. Just going to do this one. It makes it a little bit easier.
Welcome back to Pro and Noob, episode 19.
Yeah.
19.
Yeah.
I'm glad someone remembers because I don't. Yeah. Mitch 692, Jarod from the Nerd Academy Podcast. He thought he got it. He really did, but he doesn't. How you doing, buddy?
I just. I am not. I'm not going to mince words. The first half of this, I was not having a good time. The first half of this was, I think it leaned into some of the things I like the least about this show.
Fair.
Really hard. I would before I go any further, I would just like to have a brief I was right and you were wrong segment.
Oh, really?
You can put a little bumper up for that.
What was I wrong about?
You came at me sideways. It was either last week or the week before. Kind of taking me to task because I said that the weird little moment where Shinji is like experiencing his relationships with Asuka, Rei, and Misato, that I said it was explicitly sexual in nature. And you kind of raked me over the coals for that.
I didn't rake you over the coals. I disagree.
But you were like, oh, you were saying you kind of. I say this with love. You're a dear friend. You kind of implied that I was taking a surface level look at that.
No, it's not in the slightest. No.
I get out of the end of.
Why would I ever think you would look at anything at surface level, Jarod?
And this feature length finale begins with Shinji doing something wildly inappropriate.
It does, yeah. Before you carry on, I'm just going to say I am stunned. Okay, stunned. I did not get a message in the first 5 minutes. When you went watching now, I sat there waiting for it. And then I got was a message about the intermission in the middle.
So here's my thing. If anybody noticed that we stopped doing a Jarod, what do your notes look like segment, it's because I've stopped taking notes. Part of the note taking was a product of I would watch the episode the night before and I wanted to be able to like do quick refreshers as I read. But as we got through the show and we started watching and recording within the same day, I realized that there were like critical beats that I was missing because I kept looking down to write in my phone. Even when I'd pause it, like I would lose a viewing momentum, for lack of a better term. So that is why the notes stopped being a thing. And the deeper and deeper I've gotten in, and the more and more I am becoming paranoid that there are crucial details I'm missing, which is why I end almost every single session slightly confused, is that I'm missing something. It goes all the way back to the first episode that the Ava moved on its own. And I was like, oh, I thought Shinji made it move by accident. And I have been paranoid of having another Shinji that the Ava moved on its own moment.
Well, it didn't move on its own. Yui moved it.
Oh yeah, of course. But like at the time, again, I'm going into this going, it's a robot. At the time, I'm like, it's a robot, and the first crucial like clue that these are not your run-of-the-mill mechs is in its movement, in the fact that UA's soul is within the Ava, right?
I mean, the first clue is the blood splatter from, getting his head caved in episode 1.
Yeah, but
along with the spine in his back.
Yeah, and again, like some of that is like weird mechanical. What's it like? You never know what direction these types of things are going to take. But I mean, like, just again, these are fully like alive beings. That was a crucial detail that went fully over my head because I was busy taking notes, and I wanted to avoid that from ever happening again. And after being fully locked in, delved fully into the episode, I just kind of feel weird. Oh, I lost my train of thought there. Anyway, you were like, oh, like I don't think it's as sexually explicit as you think it is, and you're entitled to your.
I was talking about that one specific.
They're all naked diving onto his dick.
Now, sure.
And the first half of this feature film begins with.
You mean episode
Shinji,
25?
Sure. Begins with Shinji masturbating almost onto his unconscious catatonic friend. And it ends with Shinji being rewarded with a wildly inappropriate makeout. And again, there are certain elements of this that, Western culture, whatever we have issues with, there are different, levels of ick.
What's he get rewarded with?
That he is motivated to go save the planet by a grown-ass woman making out with him. With the promise that they will fuck when he comes back. With the promise that they will fuck when he gets back. What? What, Mitch?
I'm just saying now you're kind of not missing it. Maybe obtuse. Might be too strong of a word.
No. What element am I missing here? What element am I missing?
No, I don't think you're necessarily missing. I think the whole reward thing is a bit strong. Like, let's be honest here. There's no promise made. She might say it. She doesn't mean.
Words mean things, Mitch. Words mean things.
Yes, words mean things. Words can also be very empty. She knows she's about to die.
I know. It's still fucking insane and inappropriate.
But
did sincerely make me uncomfortable.
Sure. I get that. I'm not going to say you're wrong for thinking that. That is the only way she knows how to go about things. That is a character flaw.
It's a character flaw, sure. It's also admission of Shinji having a very unhealthy relationship with his own sexuality. He does. I am very excited now that we're very, very close to being done. That I am very much looking forward to looking into some outside interpretations of this show. Because again, I have loved it. There are some ideas that I would love to hear outside thought on.
That's fair.
Just because I don't know what to do with Shinji and his sexuality. That is an element that I have this whole time been like, what is the end game here? What is this meant to represent? Because for a while I was like, oh, Shinji has this very adolescent, pubescent relationship with sex and sexuality, rather. And it was something that I was like, okay, is this meant to represent kind of a silly, the way that all teenage boys have a weird relationship of half of it is all jokes, or a chunk of it is all jokes, a chunk of it is not being comfortable enough in your own skin to understand your relationship to desire. Part of it is, culturally, how has sex been presented to you up to this point, and that's going to reflect that. And again, it was a lot. Going into this is a fully blank canvas for me, so I don't know how much of what is supposed to represent what, right? And like Shinji, I think is such a fascinating case study because he is shown to have such a again almost like early signs of a sex addiction types of impulses that and sure, he's a little horny boy in a cartoon, sure, you're gonna ham it up, but when we get to the point where Shinji accidentally exposes Asuka's breasts and is physically incapable of resisting that urge, we've crossed the horny teenager Rubicon, right? We've transcended into something that does, I think, imply something a little bit more problematic about Shinji. And it is another thing that I am excited isn't the right word, but I'm looking forward to having an opportunity to go back and rewatch this, because knowing that when I say ends, the final low point for Shinji is this very, it's reprehensible. Asuka has every reason that if she woke up to beat him within an inch of his life, that I'm curious to go back and look at Shinji acting in a very cowardly and acting in a very kind of base and depraved way. And I want to be able to compare that to, again, this final low point, because I am curious to know retroactively how often I was chalking this up to horny teen in a cartoon, how much I was chalking this up to, it is, he's on the hero's journey, so we need to show that there are still those elements of cowardice and acting beneath what he knows he should be doing. I'm very curious to see how much of that is played for laughs and played for and hammering home Shinji's cowardice early on, because again, when we hit both the final episode and then End of Evangelion, it is blown up to this huge degree of, it is not just Shinji is kind of a quivering, horny teenager, as most of us were and are and have been, that it is Shinji views himself as practically subhuman. And that there's a lot of that there is a self-harm element in there, and that I am going to actively do something I know I'm going to be disgusted with myself for, and then hate myself for it later. And that very dark cycle. And I don't know, it felt abrupt. It felt abrupt in the last one, and it felt abrupt here, that Shinji ranks it up so hard from, I kind of suck because I'm a teenager, but all teenagers suck, to, I deserve to die because I am repulsive. And it also struck me that Karu's death affects him so much, because again,
we didn't actually, I'm just going to jump in here, we didn't actually mention it when we watched the episode, but the original Karu says I love you.
That was another thing I wanted to talk about. Is that
he says straight up when he's getting out the bath, he's not because I like you, it's because I love you.
Is that in the subtitles? Because I think I remember seeing it in the subtitles.
I don't know. I didn't watch the subtitles. It might have been, because I'm pretty certain they use the original subtitles, but I'm not entirely sure.
Well, and the Kaoru of it all is also fascinating to me, because on one hand, yes, Shinji, by the time Shinji kills Kaoru, he understands the complicated origins of the Avas and the Angels. By the time he kills him, he knows. And I think it's really interesting that it is Kaoru that is the straw that breaks the camel's back for Shinji's capacity for violence. And that terrifies him. And again, I find myself curious about how, there are all these instances where Shinji kind of snaps and freaks the fuck out inside of the Eva that, and this isn't a slight against you. I don't want the way I'm about to phrase is going to sound like, Mitch, why didn't you correct me? But I went into a lot of those conversations talking about like, oh, it was the Eva kind of waking up and doing its own thing. Because
which bits? Well, if you look at when it eats, I can't remember the fucking name of it, Zuriel, the one that fucks up everything. That's not him doing it. That is Yui doing it. The awakening, I probably should have said. Like that moment. That's not him. That is her. Arguably, all the times it goes berserk are Yui.
Are Yui stepping in to protect Shinji?
Because you never actually see Shinji pilot and doing any choices in the cockpit when that's happening.
Yeah, like that first Angel fight where it goes, where it goes off the rails and is just like, it's like serial killer shit at that point. The way he's putting down that Angel. So again, I'm like retroactively sitting back here. I'm going, okay, I think Shinji is taking responsibility for the extreme acts of violence from Unit 2 or Unit 1 rather. And then he kills the first Angel that looks like a person.
Mm-hmm.
And that throws him over the edge. And coming back to like Shinji's relationship with his sexuality, I think it's also really fascinating that like Shinji has this very lustful desire for all of the women around him. But it's very clear that he was very interested and fascinated by Kaoru. I don't think that's a stretch to say that there is also like a queer subtext there.
Oh no, he's 100% bi. At least
text. But
he's at least bi. At least.
Yeah. Yeah, and shouts out Shinji Ikari, welcome to the club.
Whether that's bisexual, bipolar, we don't know.
Yeah, he's
both. Yes.
The answer is yes. Again, welcome to the club. But yeah, I'm going back and I'm like, okay, I see the building blocks here, but I just find Shinji's. I do feel as though there is kind of a 180 for him just being like, it kind of fucking suck, but whatever, to like, I deserve to die. And because I am a reflection of humanity and because humanity hates me, humanity deserves to go as well. It felt extreme.
Not that he ever makes such, well, I guess he does make that choices and I actually like it, but
I think it's really, I find it funny in some way that what you described to me is like the oft maligned, a little too heady and trippy ending to the show in like the show and not like this movie that is also its own thing. I find it very interesting that I personally thought the show finale was a lot more fucking coherent.
Interesting.
And I found myself screaming in the hotel room. That was a Kendrick Lamar joke for like 5 people. Because I don't know what the overlap here is. There could have been lots of people who just fast forwarded through that Kendrick little rant last week. But I found it just really weird that it kind of made more sense because the place this one goes is a lot weirder. And I kind of felt like the movie version was supposed to be a little bit more streamlined. And it's
no one ever said streamlined. I don't know where you got that one.
That was the implication I got, was like it's a lot less.
It's a lot less atypical.
It's a lot less woo woo, like the
hell's
arts,
woo woo.
This, a little heady and weird and shit, but. Yeah. No, I found that an interesting choice. And again, just coming back to like the weird relationship this show has with sexuality. Like, again, it's just like, It's the stuff with Misato and Shinji. It's Shinji and Asuka. It's, like, I don't get why Rei has to be fucking naked for like the entire back eighth of this show.
Because Lilith is naked. Adam and Lilith don't wear clothes. She now fully understands what she is. Why would she wear clothes?
I get it. I understand in theory.
It's also the clothes that Gendo gave her. Right?
Cool.
And fuck you, Gendo. You ain't coming along. You ain't on this ship. I ain't wearing your shit. I don't give a fuck.
I get that. I appreciate that. Again, and maybe it's just me having my own of like a depiction of a child in the nude that is, that is at times, they're like, I think for me, it's the fact that the show kind of like radically jumps back and forth between the depictions being inherently sexual and then being very clinical. Like it has two settings. It is either like this child is naked because they're being grown in a vat and you don't materialize with clothes on. And it is like also very gratuitous fan service shots. And I think that's the other thing for me is that like I never know what I'm gonna get, and it just kind of it was a discomfort zone for me where there are moments where like and of course like for Gendo to meld Adam with Rei with Lilith, of course he has to grab her breast. It's like, of course, that is the direction this is going to go. Like, it's just at every point there's a element of like it just getting a little too.
But that's life, though, right?
I mean, yeah, sure, that's life. There's also like, this is also again, on the whole, I think very good work of fiction. It is also a work of fiction where other choices could have been made with regards to the age of these.
But then it wouldn't have been this work of fiction.
I don't know how much of this show is lost if Shinji Ikari and all of his friends, if Shinji Ikari is like a 19 or 20-year-old burnout who has all of these issues still, and you age up the characters with him a little bit, I do not think any of the thematic resonance of this show is altered.
But what's age like? That was going to sound really wrong for me, so I'm not going to say that. Does aging them up like 5 years inherently mean stuff's different?
For me, yeah.
Yeah.
For me, the sexually compromising positions that a lot of these characters are put in is inherently less uncomfortable. And sure, yeah. That like for me, and again, I don't think anything is lost. I think if Asuka is again like 19 or 20, her obsession with Kaji again being just as old as he is than her now, and having a mentor guardian role going, this is inappropriate, you need to fucking chill, maintains its resonance. In fact, I think it puts more of an emphasis on Kaji caring about Asuka's well-being if you frame it that way. Of him going, this is inappropriate. I don't care how old you are. There's no version of this that is appropriate. And I do not want to get I don't want to get lost in the sauce too much in this element of the conversation. For me, it is important to say it's one element of this show that I think is just gonna hold it back a little bit for me.
That's fair.
Again, I understand there are cultural differences here, and that it's just one of those things that I'm just I'm going to be at odds with in a lot of this media. It just is. You'll
get numb to it, don't worry.
I don't want to be numb to it. I don't want to be numb to it. That's my thing. No, but I just you are not the first person to say that to me. Of like,
no, because everyone says it. It's like, yeah, you'll get over it.
I don't like. There is a part of me that will always kind of when again, like, is there in a very clinical setting? Okay, I get it, whatever. But again, the moments of like, even if you want to depict it, there are ways to skirt it. Like, I don't think we as the audience need to explicitly see Asuka's exposed breasts. I think that you can make it very clear that the robe got knocked asunder.
Well, this is the interesting bit, right? Because if you, I say the interesting bit, if you in the show, they're never detailed.
Yeah, I noticed that.
And then suddenly here you get the little nip.
Yeah.
Why? I don't know. Is it a budget thing? Possibly.
I don't know. It may have been a rating thing. It may have been a rating. Yeah. You're a movie now. So there's more shit you can get away with. There's more shit that you can, depict. I don't know how the Japanese equivalent to the MPAA or MPA now works. I at one point had a very robust understanding of how the MPAA worked because I wrote an entire essay about it in high school. Which here's a fun little Jarod nugget, just because I've been on a little bit of a high horse for about 20 minutes now. So let me take myself down a peg. I've made several jokes on air about how I wrote an entire essay about the MPAA and why its rulings are kind of arbitrary and stupid. That was born of a CinemaSins video. So I'll let everybody know that little detail and take the piss out of me for the rest of my life for it.
No one's perfect, Jarod. We'll have a flaw.
I know. See, that is me. If I got consumed by the tree of life or whatever, I'll be like, I don't deserve to live.
Well done for finally knowing what it is. Well done.
Yeah. It was funny. I was supposed to work today. I woke up feeling like dog shit. Taylor was home as well. And she got up and she's like, I'm going to take a nap. I'm like, okay, I'm going to watch Evangelion. So she is napping in the bed next to me as I'm watching this. And I think I may have woken her up whenever the other Avas, like the monster Avas.
Oh yeah, the MEPs.
Yeah,
MPEs. Sorry.
What's that?
Mass-produced Avas.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. But like the mass-produced Avas, like go up and they like start their little like AT field ceremony. Or AP field, whatever there is. And they formed that chart that has haunted me for weeks now. that I almost just took a screenshot of and just started pulling up like a Latin translator that I had to be told not to do. That it happened, and I went,
and now you see why.
And I loudly went, oh.
Finally.
No. Again, all of the things I have been critiquing, notwithstanding, you can tell that there was a marked increase in how much money they could throw at the art in this. There were a lot of things that just looked really, pardon my hiccups, really good. There's some particular like moments of motion that I was like, oh wow, like, and this is very particular and very stupid.
Is it by chance the Asuka fight?
No, we'll get there.
I mean, I should hope so because it's kind of like
no, it's incredible. It's fucking incredible. Looked amazing. I just say it was a very small, nuanced moment of Misato trying to
cocking the gun,
Shinji to move.
Oh,
that like him just kind of doing the wet,
how limp he is,
dragged around, like that looked very real in the way their bodies were moving.
This entire movie is an animation flex because you will never find another shot like when she cocks the gun. Just how smooth, like the action when she goes like tunk. It's so good.
Yeah. No, that looked incredible. And like you were saying, the Asuka fight where she's fighting the mass-produced Avas.
With a Kaoru dummy plug.
That's what I thought, is that they were all based on Kaoru. No, absolutely incredible. Very visceral. Because I had a moment of ooh when I started up End of Evangelion, because the little rating thing popped up. And the show, the rating thing, I'd always read nudity, smoking, language were the three, and it never called attention to the violence, which makes sense because there is very little like person-on-person violence, and most of the violence is against
technically
these amorphous. Yeah, they're done against these amorphous monsters, and a lot of it is very Power Rangers. You hit it and it fucking explodes.
Yeah,
like a lot of that gets sidestepped in that way, and obviously we know retroactively that they are technically human. Which I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I'm not gonna fuck with you guys. I'm just gonna hear me anymore. I still don't fucking understand how this works. I still don't understand. I'm not gonna lie to anybody here. Don't tell Mitch. Mitch definitely can't hear me anymore. I don't know. I still don't fucking understand. I still don't fucking understand. I'm just gonna pretend that I do at this point. Because it makes it a little bit easier. Mitch, I think my internet. I think my internet shit out and threw you out there for a second. Sorry.
That was an interesting internet noise. Then that's very interesting.
Yeah.
Very reminiscent of dial-up. The old AOL.
Anyway,
classic noise. I'm surprised you're old enough to know that.
I'm 26.
But even so.
I never used dial-up. I knew what it sounded like. I mean, my family had dial-up. I just wasn't using the internet, I know what it is.
Fair enough.
But anyway,
would you like every answer you've ever wanted?
Hold that thought.
Can you not hear me when you're full screen just then?
Oh no.
Oh, I was like, do you want every answer? Like, do you want? No. I was waiting for a reaction. It's like, motherfucker can't hear me.
No. Once you go into the backstage, you can hear what's happening up here. I can't hear what's back there.
I just broke the illusion.
I know. It's okay. It's all lies. This whole show, it's all lies. This and Evangelion. But no. So I was like, never so yeah, they skirt they skirt any of the violence like points through very clever ways. And then I boot this up, and it's nudity, language, gore, and I was like, oh, okay. I did not know what to expect. And then, you get the Sealay Special Forces guys coming through, and they're mowing people down, and there's blood splatter and stuff. And I'm like, okay, like, and I have a moment where I say to myself, I mean, you got shot, it's not particularly gory.
They're just running people over,
Yeah, I mean,
burning people to death. Not that you see it, but they're burning people to death.
Well, but that's the thing, though. Like, you see the guy with the flamethrower, but you see him outside of the door shooting it and people yelling. But the deaths themselves are not depicted.
I mean, there's at least a couple days.
Yeah, there's some people who get shot.
Because there's that one poor woman trying to drag like a co-worker away.
Yeah,
and you see them all just running in the back.
You see them running, and again, you see people get shot, and you see a little bit of blood splatter. And again, I'm not saying that is not inherently violent. I'm saying that I'm not seeing anything that screams gore.
Yeah.
Quite yet. Yeah. There's a bit where Masato runs over the one dead soldier. But even then, you only get a little bit of the arm and the tire and a little as she hits it. So I'm like, okay.
Masato gets split in half from that explosion because they, for some reason, put a single frame of the poor woman in two, and it hurts because she needed that.
I did not catch that. I just saw them.
Literally, unless you go frame by frame, you won't see it. But they put it in there, and it's.
They gave her the Darth Maul.
Except not as clean.
No, and I don't think she's bouncing back from that quick like he did.
Unfortunately, no.
Let's give her some cool ass fucking legs, and she'll shake that shit off. Give it 10 years and really cool legs, and she'll be
cool's
back.
a very strong word for that.
Okay. This is Mitch's fault that we're taking a Star Wars detour.
You just brought it up.
I made a passing reference, and now you're challenged, and now I need to challenge you on a take. Are you telling me that the Grievous legs Maul has at first in the Clone Wars is not cool as fuck?
You're talking about the spider legs?
No, not the spider legs.
That's what I was referring to.
Oh, those are silly.
Well, I thought you were talking about.
Oh, I'm talking about whenever Mother Talzin puts them back together and he gets like the Grievous style.
Yeah, the backwards double jointed. No, I mean, even then, it's not as bad. It's okay.
Dog shit opinions. Dog shit. Again, this is why I'm the CBC Star Wars correspondent now. I need to protect you all from the bad Star Wars takes. What'd you say?
I said that's why you haven't been on.
I know. I actually have to reach out to Armin about doing our Outlaws review. But for anybody who's annoyed that I always have nice things to say about Star Wars, tune in. But oh man, I paid $70 for that. Anyway, no,
we're saving that until after this. We need to get
yeah. But anyway, but no. So I was like, okay, so where's the gore? And then Asuka starts motherfucking just annihilate, just unmaking these Avas. Which again, just incredible fight choreography. The double-bladed Buster sword was just such a fun choice. That was just such a fun call on everybody's part. And it was just one thing that this isn't a complaint. This is just such a nitpick from me. I never understood the arsenal for the Avas. It always was just so befuddling to me. I'm like, why does this like the angels are these huge monstrous beings that are like kind of beyond the size of comprehension past a certain point. And it's like you get a rifle and you get a knife. And I was like, why is there no like really good like mid-range melee option? You know, like, and I know I want everything to have a sword, but like a fucking halberd or something, you know, like I was like a knife.
Asuka has a spear.
She has the spear, but like, you know, she doesn't use it as much as she probably should.
No, she doesn't. No.
And even then, she mostly uses that spear at range. She mostly throws it. You know, like I'm like, if you're going to get up close and personal with this thing, you still need to keep a little bit of distance. So I'm glad that Sele had the fucking sense that God gave a duck to go, let's give him a double-bladed sword, because this is objectively the weapon that makes the most goddamn sense. And that is proven by, get ready, everybody, I'm going to say something nice about Asuka, by the most competent fighter in this group, putting the obvious weapon of choice to devastating effect. And as you said, it is beautifully animated. The fight choreography is incredible. The kills are ridiculous. I love the little like shoulder artillery moment where she just like just fills the motherfucker's beak up with those missile darts. It was very reminiscent of my favorite moment in Book of Boba Fett, where he like does his little like work bitch,
the little poke,
the work bitch, where he's like shooting the pistol while launching the knee darts at the pikes. It very much reminded me of that, so I was like, yeah, it's big crowd.
Speaking of that, though, this is just my take on the whole scene. The way they animate weight in this fight is the hand-drawn equivalent of the Mandalorian when they've just dropped off Frog Lady and they dropped a Razor Crest on the duck. Like that was a flex. This entire thing is a flex. I need to see like how they animated that properly, because that's
absolutely. I mean, yeah, like you said, it is you're absolutely right. It is the weight of it all. Like it is the way hit like blows land.
I mean, it's not even how like stuff lands, but the way like Unit 2 moves with that thing, it's dragging it. Then it cuts to Oscar and she's actually having to drag this thing across.
Yeah.
That amount
I loved
of up.
One of my favorite moments of exactly what you're talking about was when it's like the first mass-produced Ava that's actually able to swing on her. And like the way that they so beautifully depict like the force of her having to parry that blow, and how the shift in momentum throws her off, and the way that it staggers the Ava that she parries. It's just incredibly animated. I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that it might have been the best fight in the whole show.
Oh, 100%.
By a country mile. Like a lot of the fights, like they go to like, a lot of them are more about like what the fight represents and the lessons that are being learned than
it's also the operation of it, right? It's not the actual action of it. It's the how do the people who get this all to work react.
Do it. Yeah. But no, absolutely incredible. And I was thinking there for a moment, where I was like, okay, cool. Like Asuka dropped these, and I was like, I'm sure they're going to send in reinforcements, or So I was like, surely like Shinji's going to have to show up and have to do his part here.
He shows up.
I was not anticipating all of them regenerating.
S2 drive, baby.
That was another thing. I was like, oh, like whenever Asuka comes to the conclusion that it is her mother's spirit,
half.
Half. Okay, so what's the other half?
Well, there is another half. It's just half her mum in there. That's why her mum goes insane, because the experiment to put the soul in the
was
Ava
performed on her.
Yeah, it doesn't work 100%. So that's why she loses her literal mental shit.
Okay, cool.
It's still essentially her. It's just not all of it.
No. That's cool. That was another thing I didn't quite understand. I don't think I voiced, where I was like, is she being operated on by Nerv before? And that was.
I think it's more of a conscious choice. It's not like we're going to do this to you. It's like
no. I wasn't sure if it was Nerv who was like responsible for her destabilization, because I got that vibe, but I meant to follow up on that, and I didn't, and I'm glad that it was A, confirmed by the moment, and B, doubly confirmed now by this conversation. But yeah, no, and I love that realization. I thought that it was going to come with her activating her S2 drive. In the same way that Shinji's Ava is able to operate without a cable now. I thought
because Unit 2 doesn't have an S2 drive.
And that was,
they have
a
core.
Like, wait a minute. I was like, wait a minute. I don't think it does. And but that's where I thought that was going.
Also, it wouldn't matter anyway, because Unit 0 and 2 are Adam. Where Unit 1 isn't. Because Unit 1 is Lilith. For anyone who didn't know.
Yeah.
That's why they freak shit about it. Right.
So, okay. Mitch, now is your time. Explain everything that happened after that to me.
What, a third impact?
Yeah.
Episode 25 and 26 is what happened. That's it.
So, I guess my next question. You're so fucking difficult.
I can't help it. This is what happened when you accidentally raise yourself on this show. Don't be like me. Yeah. Don't let your kids be like me.
what was the ending?
Which one?
The end.
The final end.
Yeah. So like Shinji awakens on this beach side with all of the Avas still suspended in the air. And he sees Asuka next to him. And he chooses to strangle her like he did in one of his many visions as he was being kind of transmitted through the Tree of Life. And then I can't tell if he stopped.
Yeah, he stops.
Or if he killed her and her last
stops.
words were disgusting.
No, he stops.
So, like, are they the only survivors?
Not necessarily, right? Because the whole point of it, right? I tried to tell you from the start, is if you go for the Jewish side of everything, you have the Chamber of Guff, which is the Black Moon. So everyone turns into Phantom. Everyone gets sucked up into the moon, where all the souls are reside, that will ever happen, that will ever have been, that ever will be. Right. Shinji makes his choice. It all comes back down. So technically he's coming out of like the primordial soup, right? It's essentially what it is. And they've made the choice to carry on living. So everyone else can have that choice.
So everybody else gets to individually choose.
Apart from Gendo, yeah.
Good.
And Misato. Misato died beforehand. She doesn't actually get, I don't think.
So Gendo, good, you don't get a choice.
That's why he gets eaten, or at least half.
So everybody else gets to choose whether or not they remain with this like incredible unconsciousness.
Your collective unconscious.
Calamities on repeat.
Another reason why I was mad that you heard that phrase in the context of the show.
I've heard that phrase a bajillion times.
Yeah, I that's why I added that in the context of this show.
Fair. So when Asuka and Shinji awaken on the beach, it is because they are among what I can only assume are countless other people who chose.
I assume so. I assume so, right.
Why does he choose to choke her?
See, this is why do you think, because this is the question, right? This is the whole open-ended interpretation. Why do you think he chooses to strangle?
Okay, that was my question. Is this meant to be is the question the point?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think I know yet.
That's fair. Totally valid. No, some people look at it as a way for him to confirm if anything's real or not. Because the last time he saw a person was in his head and he saw Asuka like currently in the state of being eaten. So it's like, no, this shit isn't real. Let's make sure it's real. That's one way of looking at it.
And it's once she shows signs of life that he stops.
Yeah.
Okay, I can get down with that.
It's also a completely different action to what she's ever done to him before. So it's not like the Asuka in his head. Because it's physical contact, right? She doesn't actually say or do anything. It's just the hand on the face.
But then she still calls him disgusting.
I mean, she's still Asuka, right? Also, he is.
You're right.
You know, he did smack one out. Right.
Yeah.
This is why Asuka's the best character. She has the best arc in the show.
You're right.
She doesn't smack it out over anyone.
God,
awake or not.
That.
I mean,
So,
that's what he does.
You're right. Okay. No, that answers that question for me. Also, I just got to say, I love that. I love the way that Gendo's entire worldview is framed as the natural conclusion to the path that Shinji is on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that while Shinji is going, I've been wildly selfish and self-deprecating. I owe it to myself and everybody around me to knock it the fuck off. At the same time that Gendo is like, oh, honey, it's too late for me. Yeah, I was happy to get like a very looking down the barrel of the camera explanation from Gendo as to why he is like this.
It's basically everything you wanted. You said from last week, right?
Yeah.
Everything you said, you got in one shape or form.
Still don't know how the fucking Avas work. But we don't have time for that one.
Does it matter how the Avas work?
No. In the same way, it doesn't matter how a thermal exhaust port on the Death Star works. I just want to know. But we do not have time for that tonight, and that's okay. But yeah, like I said, there's a thrilling conclusion. I liked it a lot. I have my gripes that I've had with this show from the beginning there. This is a very thrilling companion piece to the show finale.
It's interesting how you say companion. I suppose it's a companion piece, really. No, ignore that. No. Here's the thing. Do you, despite me saying last week where I said, no, I don't see it as an alternate ending, it is fundamentally the ending. You're just seeing two sides of it happening at the same time. Do you look at it that way? Or would you see them as two separate things? That you can pick.
I see them as two separate depictions of the same thing. Like,
so my answer, basically.
No, not quite. Like, we actually get Shinji having like a full-throated like moment of resolution. That doesn't end in a Shinji does not necessarily deserve forgiveness for everything he's done throughout the show. In particular,
no, but that's not what the whole asking thing is for, right? He's not.
In particular, the way that he specifically transgressed against Asuka that day. So I cannot hold it against Asuka as a person for her immediate reaction to be to call him disgusting, especially as in that immediate moment, she does not have context for why Shinji woke up and his first decision was, as far as she can tell, to try to kill her. However, the fact that the show ends on Shinji yet again taking advantage of Asuka, as she is in a compromising and helpless position, and Asuka rightfully calling him disgusting, I think is less of a resolution. You know, that's where I go, these are clearly two different things. They are arriving at similar conclusions. And they are both Shinji choosing life, choosing to continue, but not like again, one ends far more open-ended than the other one. Like, one is way more abstract in its ending, you know, and I think I almost would say that the difference between these, and where I might be leaning towards alternative, is that I almost feel as though the TV show ending does end in the successful homogenization of consciousness within the Human Instrumentality Project.
Yeah, it does.
And this one ends with people emerging from it, which I think are two it is the two different endings. That like
this is why I said one's a microscopic look at one part, right?
Yeah,
because 25 and 26 are the other side of the thought process he goes through during the impact. His choice here is to end in this bit. Now, he might be happy with his choice, and everyone does the clap and congratulations. But this is the world he's now got to live in.
It's complicated.
Either way, the show is the good ending, and the movie's the bad ending.
Kinda, yeah. Which are inherently alternatives to each other.
I mean, sure. But there's good and bad, and there's bad and good, Jarod. It's always light in the darkness, and darkness in the light.
We have another movie, right?
We have 4. Before we wrap it up, fascinating to know, do you have any idea of where it goes from here? What would you not want to see?
I don't fucking know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
Fair.
I got nothing. But this is incredible, and I'm excited for what's next.
I think as you should be. So that was the end of Evangelion.
And now here is to more Evangelion, because that name doesn't make any fucking sense anyway.
It's Greek.
What, like yogurt? Feta cheese? What?
Yeah. Greek word. Maybe I'll tell you what it means one day.
So you're telling me Evangelion is a Greek word? Because I was just saying that calling this the end of Evangelion.
Oh, I mean, it makes total sense calling this the end of Evangelion.
I know it does. There's 4 fucking movies.
It's okay, Jarod.
How many of these characters come back?
Oh, I'm not telling you anything.
Oh, fucking all of them. Great.
I'm not telling you a damn thing.
Somehow Gendo Ikari returned.
I mean, maybe he does.
All right. Congratulations, everybody. I'm not done
follow
yet.
Tina. No,
yeah,
it's not done.
Go check out the Nerd Academy.
What clip are you looking for?
I'm not. I was just making sure I had my finger over end recording.
I made the same mistake twice in 1 week. 2 weeks, actually.
Yeah. Getting slow, Mitch. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Hey guys, thanks for watching or listening, whatever flavor you prefer. If you enjoyed it, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, hit the bell, do all the good stuff so you don't miss an episode. And of course, leave a comment, tell us what you thought about this episode of Neon Genesis. If you watched it before or you haven't, I generally love to hear what people think about this show. If you're following along with us, that's great. If not, and you watched it before, tell us what you think about this one specific episode in particular, because we are trying to keep Jarod spoiler free as much as possible. And yeah, any help is greatly appreciated for this little channel project we're working on here, trying to build this up. And of course, we can't do that without you guys. So yeah, any help is greatly appreciated, and we'll catch you all for the next one. So take care.